This is Unfilter, episode 234 for April 26th, 2017.
We have made incredible progress. I don't think there's ever been a president elected who in this short period of time has done what we've done.
I think we've had one of the most successful 13 weeks in the history of presidency.
No administration has accomplished more in the first 90 days. I think we are going to have a big win soon. We're going to have some great legislative victories in the very near future.
There we go. You know, at the top of the show, you talk about what episode number this is, right?
234.
Right. You know, it's very unique. It's a very unique number because we will not have another, ascending episode number until episode 345.
I hadn't, right. Yeah, 234.
Right. So it's a very, very big day here at Unfilter, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly show about the news you shouldn't be watching.
Yeah.
There's Chris over there.
Hey.
Chris, so 234, we've done, I still can't believe we've done 234 episodes of this.
I can't believe
show.
I can't believe we're 100 days into Trump's presidency, essentially. Not quite as we record, but we're damn close.
And as you heard in the opening clip, no one has done better in the history of America and the world probably.
Yeah. I would argue in the history of podcasting, no one has done better than the Unfilter show for 234 weeks in the history.
That's true in the history.
Yeah, and it's in the young infancy, perhaps.
The
of this
most successful Patreon ever.
No, let's not go there. I wish.
For
God,
Unfilter.
could you imagine? I was thinking recently, the news cycle is so crazy since Trump's become president that we could do this show daily. Like we talked about at one point, it'd be possible, but that Patreon would have to be nuts. Patreon.com/unfilter. Hashtag just saying. So, Mr. Chase.
Craziness.
We have so many little itty bitty things to get into before we get into the meat this week. That's, what we like to do is have a 5-course meal on the Unfilter show because there's a couple of nice things about your Unfilter program. Number one, we try to just focus on the stuff that sort of changed the flow of history this week. So if you only have a little bit of time each week, we hope you'll spend it with us to sort of get updated on the stuff that changed history. And then in the overtime, there's like spillover. There's new story threads we start and follow that maybe aren't really critical yet, or wrap up. Like I have some Alex Jones and Bill O'Reilly stuff in the overtime. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think of the overtime as the big party after you've already won.
Yeah.
You've won, and now it's time to wind down, have some drinks, and hang out and just find out some more dirt about those guys out there or gals.
Totally.
Yeah.
Before we go, I read a book for the show this week, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that too.
Are you okay? I mean, you read a book and you're going back to manual controls.
I think I had a seizure. Yeah, I think I had. It's no good. It's no good. But anyways, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But first, maybe we'll start a little cyber.
You know what? ASL, buddy.
A little bit of cyber, and it's an important one. It's about hackers targeting very specific
hackers.
Oh yes,
in air quotes.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Just want to make sure we're talking about the right hackers.
Now get ready. Get your serious face on. Do you have your serious face on?
Hey, wait. Wasn't that gal on the left at RT?
I think she's
recognized
years
her.
ago. Yeah, but she's been at CNN for a while.
Really?
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us here on the program. What exactly happened with these cyber attacks?
Well, we saw two types of actors carrying out intrusions and attack activity from China on South Korea. We saw hacktivist actors who were carrying out kind of low-level attacks, disruptions of websites, defacements. Most of that activity was pretty overt. They were self-organizing and picking names like Panda Intelligence Bureau to sort of advertise their activity. And then we also saw cyber espionage actors who we've known for quite a while. We have evidence that they targeted at least one party that has been associated with the missile placements. We believe they're a state-sponsored group.
Oh, watch out, Chase. State-sponsored.
So just to confirm, you believe there's a Chinese state-sponsored group behind this? You're saying that the THAAD system itself was not targeted, but at least one organization linked to the deployment THAAD was.
So we have ourselves a little bit of cyber here.
Okay. Now, when they say these state-sponsored actors, are they meaning the NSA using some sort of software and
or the CIA?
Or CIA, sorry.
Maybe they mean the trained children.
Oh.
It's a complex, destructive and evolving threat. But the skills gap to fight hacking is equally as vast. Here to fill the hole, 14-year-old schoolboy Otto from London and his generation of cyber defenders.
I think there really should be a bit more education as to how to keep yourself safe. People just rush forward to develop some technology like a sort of internet-enabled smart fridge. They don't actually consider the security considerations because they don't have an awareness of the fact that the smart fridge could be hacked.
This room of teenage coders are defending a drone food delivery company against malicious hackers. None of it's real, though. They're all contestants in a cybersecurity championship. The prize could be an internship with the organizer, US defense giant and stealth bomber manufacturer Northrop Grumman.
So best of luck to every one of you. Congratulations. We need far more defenders to ward off against these more complex cyber threat. And it's coming from everywhere, and it's rapidly evolving. So there's a lot of sense of urgency in getting children more interested in this field.
That's 90 minutes.
Even if they don't win, skills like these open doors in cyber defense, architecting cyber solutions or forensics. Good news for the cybersecurity industry, where Northrop Grumman says 1.5 million jobs will go unfilled in the next year.
Wow, that's incredible. 1.5 million.
So, when this podcasting thing, if you need a new job, Northrop Grumman right there, buddy.
No kidding.
Otto's teacher says they could always start up their own company.
20 years ago, Google didn't exist. It was two guys at college who...
This is a big secret, so I have to whisper it to you.
Oh, well, they're working hard hacking right now.
And I can't say it too loudly because I might disrupt their excellent hacking.
Don't worry.
It was two guys at college who started it. Apple 40 years ago didn't exist. It was two guys in their garage. And it's very much, why should I work for somebody else? I can do the stuff that I'm interested in.
A new generation dealing with a new era of threats.
Wow. What do you think of this? What is your takeaway from this? Because to me, it feels a little propagandy.
Well, propagandy and also recruitment-y. It's just like, this is just one big jobs video, right?
So that's what it felt like to me. Is it was a PR video for that company.
For Northrop Grumman.
Yes, that's exactly. Like they're getting. Yeah, look at us. We're investing in the future.
For more information, visit our website.
We're investing. We're investing. Speaking of investing, this is something I'm surprised more people aren't investing in. This here is a big gun. A really, 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 really,
That's
really
not
big
a
gun.
real gun.
No, it's a drone gun. So check this thing out. So
is this the same one that shot down that drone over like Kentucky the other day?
Maybe.
Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah,
no.
A guy was flying his drone, just taking video, and all of a sudden it got shot down.
Do you notice here? Oh no, this doesn't actually damage the drone.
I mean, damage to the drone. This gun?
This gun, yeah. I'll show you here in a second.
Oh, okay.
But look at this. So this guy's flying, and I'm not saying he's not flying.
Is he just flying a basic DJI there, looks like?
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that he doesn't have his phone connected?
Well, no, it's right there in the cradle. You don't see it?
No,
it's right there.
Yeah, his phone's there, but there's no wire going into it.
Well, the wire going to the phone is just for power, right?
No.
You actually need to have it physically plugged in?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you see there? So you see how he's got the phone there, but it's not connected.
Well,
so then they raise. I know, it's fine.
Okay.
They raise the gun, so they point the gun at the drone. He squeezes the trigger, and then the drone just kind of slowly comes down peacefully.
See, no. This doesn't show me anything.
Yeah, then they just land the drone.
Yeah, but I mean, first off, how do I not know the guy at the controls is slowly lowering it, right? How do I not know that?
I don't know. I don't know how you don't know that.
I mean, things like this can be...
Why would China want to scam this, though? Isn't that weird? The whole thing is just
This
weird.
is the same kind of invention that, like, it was the bus that straddles the lanes of traffic, that goes over the...
Yeah.
And that turned out to be nothing?
Yeah.
I think same.
I think so too. I was kind of leaning that way, so I'm glad you came down.
I mean, first off,
and I didn't influence your thought, right? That was totally
no.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me ask you this: if you were designing a gun like that,
yeah, of course, because that's what I would do.
Yeah. Let's say you were, and you pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
When
Slowly.
you had it make a noise like, or a little light going off,
or
anything,
or take the DJI startup noise and reverse it. Something like that would be really.
Don't
great.
you want to have like confirmation that you got it like a? Dink! You got it. Nice job.
Also, I want
10
that
points.
thing to drop like a rock, not slowly come down.
Well, you don't want to destroy it.
I want to destroy it.
No, you don't. You want to take it. It's $800 worth of flying. Right
yeah,
there.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so we should probably just do a really quick update in the Russia segment before we go forward. Because when we go from cyber, I like to transition into Russia. The two just go great together.
Yeah, they do.
And your buddy,
my good friend,
Michael Flynn, a bit of hot water.
Two members of Congress say President Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, may have broken the law. They say the retired Army general did not properly reveal that he was paid by a TV network tied to the Kremlin. The House Oversight Committee's Republican chairman and ranking Democrat spoke out after reviewing classified documents. Jeff Pegues is on Capitol Hill with the newest trouble for Flynn.
Trouble.
Jeff, good morning.
Hey, good morning. This
How's
is
it going?
another stunning development for someone who was the president's top national security official. Mike,
do you remember what your takeaway and my takeaway was when they first introduced Flynn? Everybody likes him.
Yeah, everybody likes him.
I don't
Seems
know
to be a
much
good
about him,
guy.
but he seems like in the media is just fawning all over him.
Right.
Boy, how those times have changed.
Then the shoe drops.
top national security official Michael Flynn is facing legal problems on several fronts connected to Russia. But in this case, if it is found that he broke the law, that is a felony, and he could get up to 5 years behind bars.
Whoa.
As a former military officer, you simply cannot take money from Russia, Turkey, or anybody else.
I don't know if you caught it, but he took money from Russia in the sense that he was paid for his time on RT.
Oh, by the way.
So is that legit? If you go on RT America, does that mean you got paid by the Russian government?
No,
I guess it kind of does.
No, because
it's 2 levels removed.
No, but that's exactly it. Did the check come in ruples or rupees, whatever they use? Rupees.
Well, so if Chase Nunes does a rubies, if
I said ruple,
if Chase Nunes does a spot,
yes,
does he get paid by the local Seattle company? Does he get paid by a national company? Like, how does Chase Nunes?
For example, I get paid by Sinclair Media of Seattle, okay, which is an LLC formed for the Seattle companies, right?
So then, would it be fair to say that ABC funded that commercial?
No, of course not. Because, I'm getting paid through,
But that's what they're doing in this case.
Right, exactly. You can't say... By the way, side note, Mr. Jason Chaffetz there on the right side of your screen, if you're watching the video, keep an eye on this guy. And the only reason why is because he's already announced that he's not seeking re-election, and he's going to be finishing out his thing and then walking away.
That usually makes for some interesting...
Well, some people are saying that he's eyeing running for president.
A former military officer, you simply cannot take money from Russia, Turkey, or anybody else.
The leaders of the House Oversight Committee said yesterday that the president's former national security advisor should have disclosed a payment he received from Russian-backed media company RT.
There's also no evidence that he sought permission to obtain these funds from a foreign source.
In late 2015, retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn received a nearly $34,000 payment for a speech he gave in Moscow.
Wow, that's amazing.
Ooh, boy.
Jeez, I mean, it's not Obama money, but that's good. I don't know if you saw
heard
this.
What, 200, what?
400, I think, or 300. It's in the show notes.
But you know what, though? He's not
doing exactly what Hillary did, though. He's going to Wall Street and he's getting paid to do these speeches.
He's doing what every former president has done.
I don't agree. I mean, $300,000?
It's an inflation curve, buddy. All I'm saying,
oh, sure.
Come on.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. No, that's the new cost
Name a president that hasn't done that.
What you call inflation, I call the new cost for political influence. I just say the price is raised. It's not inflation. My butt.
During the trip, he was photographed at an event sitting right next to Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Guilty! Guilty! He's guilty. He's sitting next to Putin. He's sitting right there.
Retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn received a nearly $34,000 payment for a speech he gave in Moscow. During the trip, he was photographed at an event sitting right next to Russian President Vladimir Putin.
You see that total CIA guy in the background, like this staring at Flynn, too?
On the far left there? Yeah.
Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to the law, Flynn, who was the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency during the Obama administration, should have sought approval from the Secretary of State and Secretary of the Army to make the trip.
So he screwed up while Obama was in office? And that's what he's... Okay, all right, okay, sure.
In a statement, Flynn's attorney denied the allegations, saying his client briefed the agency extensively both before and after the trip. The Oversight Committee has requested more information from the White House about what the administration knew about Flynn's contacts with foreign governments. Ranking member Elijah Cummings accused White House officials of stonewalling the investigation, pointing to this letter in which they refused to comply, saying the activities and payments predate Flynn's White House service.
Well, that would be a 100% accurate statement.
Press Secretary Sean Spicer drew a hard line.
Right now, to ask the White House to produce documents that were not in the possession of the White House is ridiculous.
I can't disagree with that statement.
Yeah.
Flynn is one of several Trump campaign representatives under scrutiny by the FBI, which is looking into whether Trump campaign officials were coordinating with the Russians during the 2016 election.
You know, if they covered how Hillary Clinton's FBI investigations went as thoroughly as they cover people getting investigated for Russia.
Can we check her emails real quick?
Let's just pull them up on WikiLeaks real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. Actually, we're going to get to some of that. There's some big updates to that. But let's start, before we go any further, with more current events. You and I have been discussing a while on this show, since before Trump got elected, and definitely since he's been elected, that there was a massive, massive rift between him, Trump, and the intelligence agencies.
Right.
And it seems like it's simmered down. Like, we haven't talked about it much for the last 3 weeks.
Well, we've been distracted by Moabs and Syria.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and how he won the election. He keeps reminding us.
Well, and it seems like as he started taking some of these military actions, some of the pressure from the intelligence agencies began to sort of get released. So here's a little update on that situation.
Comments as CIA Director Mike Pompeo.
We talked about these a little bit last week. Mike Pompeo, the CIA director, Trump's guy that's now director of the CIA, he's been talking tough about Assange, and about WikiLeaks, about how awful it is.
He railed against the organization and its leader, Julian Assange.
It's time to call out WikiLeaks for what it really is. A non-state hostile intelligence service often abetted by state actors like Russia.
This is some ripe Trump hypocrisy here.
Yeah, it is totally.
Pompeo can't say this if Trump isn't on board with this. That's how this system works here. And this is also Trump's position.
Hold on.
You looking at your Twitter feed there?
Yeah, I just found something. Trump says he loves WikiLeaks.
Loved it as a candidate.
Loved it.
Loved it.
Can they find those hidden emails?
Hey, Russia, while you're at it.
Yeah.
Intelligence service often abetted by state actors like Russia. They champion nothing but their own celebrity. Their currency is clickbait. Their moral compass non-existent.
Oh, man.
Julian Assange and his kind are not the slightest bit interested in improving civil liberties or enhancing personal freedom.
The problem is the CIA really got burned by these last leaks.
They have pretended America's First Amendment freedoms shield them from justice.
Oh.
They may have believed that, but they are wrong.
Here to discuss, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Very unusual to hear the director of the CIA target somebody he believes who was part of the system through which information has been leaked, and target the person so personally and so aggressively. So you know that what came out, we'll talk about in a second exactly what came out, obviously damaged the CIA. Now, there have been so many leaks. We're talking about during the break. Which leak is this? Okay, this is the leak that revealed some of the CIA's methods whereby it can hack into your smartphone or a Russian agent's smartphone.
Your Samsung television.
Your Samsung television, your microwave, and make it look like it was the Russians that was doing the hacking.
Right.
So they are particularly aggrieved because they can't really use this method anymore now that it's out there.
That's actually a legitimate observation we haven't talked about, is the CIA is pissed off, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can't use these tools now, and it showed that they made it look like Russians. And they have this manhunt ongoing. It's a big deal. But you have to note, it seems like Trump and the CIA are getting along a lot better now.
Mike Pompeo to come out like this, what do you think that says about what's happening inside the CIA?
I think there's a great battle going on in the intelligence community right now, Brian, for the heart and soul of President Trump. and they selectively conceal and selectively reveal information in order to influence the president. Mike Pompeo is the president's guy. He is the successor to John Brennan. He is the new director of the CIA. But there are people that work for him that he probably would prefer he had a little bit more influence over and control over.
Think about it for a moment. You're the new guy brought in to be in charge of the CIA, and the CIA is full of people that know everything about everybody, including you.
Yeah.
Same thing over at the NSA. These intelligence agencies have so much information about so many people. It makes them so powerful. It also makes the people who have access to this information independent of their bosses and independent of others in the agencies, because once they leak something, like what we're talking about this morning, it has a profound effect on everybody else.
Mike Pompeo sees his boss every day because he personally gives the president the presidential daily brief.
That is interesting, too. The director of the CIA is personally giving Trump his daily intelligence briefing.
Well, maybe he has the patience to, really basic,
I think it says that Trump didn't trust anyone else to give him the scoop.
That's possible.
That's what it says to me.
Well, maybe he has to put in 140 characters or less.
So Trump's 100 days are near, and the big hoopla going on right now is, will there be a government shutdown on his 100th day?
Oh. Now to the showdown over a possible government showdown.
I'm sorry, what? What did she say?
Wait.
Now to the showdown over a possible government showdown.
It all feels like show business all of a sudden.
To the showdown over a possible government showdown.
Now to the showdown over a possible government showdown.
Oh, Robin. You're giving me a headache.
Shutdown. Republicans and Democrats trying to strike a deal on the federal budget before Friday's deadline. Our congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, is on Capitol Hill for us, has all those details. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Robin. Well, if Congress can't strike a deal by midnight Friday, the president could be celebrating his 100th day with a government shutdown. Now, the White House is hoping to avoid that, but the president is also driving a hard bargain, insisting on money to fund his border wall. But
now, this has been the hoopla building for the last couple of weeks, and of course, it's come to a real peak. And before it just totally spun out of control.
But you have some immediate news, and that has to do with whether or not there is likely to be a government shutdown this weekend.
That's right, Ali. NBC News can confirm that the Republicans have made an offer to Democrats for a spending package that does not include money for the border wall. So, of course, that was what this showdown had started to focus on.
Can you believe this? They got the president, they got the House, they got the Senate, and they still can't get shit done, dude. It's so funny to me. It's so funny. They are so impotent. It's ridiculous.
Well, for the government, for the spending bill or the omnibus package, don't they need the Democrats to get on board on this though? Don't they need? Yeah, they do.
This whole thing is. I very advisably avoided. I think it would look very, very, very bad for this to happen under Trump.
Would you call this a showdown?
I would definitely call this a showdown.
Definitely a showdown.
Was avoided before it became a big lowdown. Now, I have also... Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Republicans are crushing it. It's laughable. I'm seriously laughing at them right now. But that doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that Trump has had a pretty productive 100 days.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
There's no question President Trump got off to a swift start on his first official day of business, signing 3 executive orders, fulfilling campaign promises to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal, implement a federal hiring freeze, and re-implement the so-called Mexico City policy on funding NGOs that provide abortion counseling. Within the first week, he also green-lighted the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines, authorized building a border wall and rebuilding the military, and issued his ill-fated executive order on the immigration ban, which was immediately challenged in the courts.
These entrenched interests will do anything they can to keep the broken system in place.
Compared to his recent predecessors, President Trump has been particularly prodigious with executive orders.
Prodigious. That's their way of saying he signed a lot of executive orders. Here's the numbers.
As of today, he has signed 25. That compares to 19 for President Obama, 11 for George W. Bush, and 12 for Bill Clinton.
That looks like a trend to me.
Wow.
He has also signed 28 laws compared to 14 for Obama, 7 for Bush, and Clinton's 22.
No administration has accomplished more in the first 90 days.
But unlike his recent predecessors, the president so far has no legislative accomplishments to point to. Presidential scholar Alan Lichtman was virtually alone in his early prediction that Donald Trump would win the presidency.
I think it's been a pretty troubled first 100 days. Not because he hasn't done anything. He has done a lot. This has not been a do-nothing presidency, but he's done almost all of it through executive order.
Rapid fire executive orders. Rapid fire. Now, that is a whole nother discussion, but it hasn't necessarily all been roses either.
Family.
President Trump's first 100 days were also marked by controversy. He was pilloried for his immigration ban, had to fire his national security advisor, and spent weeks defending a claim that he was wiretapped by President Obama. He put his political director on the National Security Council only to later take him off, and spent much of his first 100 days at war with the media, accusing them of fake news.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
It's been a very busy 100 days. You know, looking back at it, we've been really hustling for 100 days to keep up with all this stuff. But yeah, boy, that all brings it back. One thing I've noticed, I did not in the past watch the White House press conferences.
You've never watched them?
Oh, no, I did. I just didn't watch them. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Of course.
Oh,
I just never watched them live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I would just watch the playback later on for clips.
Yeah.
But with Spicy Sean, since the Sunday he came out and yelled at the press.
You mean Melissa McCarthy?
I've been watching every live that I can. I've missed a couple while I was traveling.
Well, the great part is, you know, I get the raw feed from the press room, so I get to watch it, and it's very enlightening.
Yeah, and sometimes they sit around waiting for Spicy.
And sometimes it's fine. You know, they're casually we get the highlights, but you know, he really is a really nice guy once you get to know him.
It's funny when you watch the press conferences, he doesn't come across nearly as bad as when you just get him in clips.
The first day. But see, that first day ruined everything.
Yeah.
First impression.
But you and I have noticed a couple of things. First of all, he does sometimes use props, which SNL has picked up on. But something else I found really interesting is the use of Skype.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, bringing in what they call them, like electronic, press, where they brought from other stations. And
They've
stuff.
been, and I've watched a couple of panels on this. I watched a CNN panel and a Fox panel on this, and both panels totally had different takes on it. But one thing they both agreed on, not intentionally, just happened to come up, was that there has been a change in how things have always been done in that room, on who gets called, who has priority.
Right.
Like they're changing things up. And I got a little bit of a clip here from a New York Times reporter who was being interviewed on a podcast who said kind of the same thing.
Glenn, did you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I do want to give Trump credit on things. I think one of the things that I think he's doing better than Barack Obama are these press conferences and his outreach to individual reporters, even for organizations like my own that he criticizes.
That would be the New York Times.
I think, people, we can't fall into this trap of hearkening back to the Obama era as if it was this golden age. When Obama had press conferences, he had a single piece of white paper, and he had 6 or 7 organizations that he had pre-selected to call upon, and a lot of them were pretty favorable to him too, generically. And I think Trump's free-ranging press conferences, I think, are a lot more democratic than the way that Obama conducted them.
I like that he just mentions right out of there that, oh yeah, some of these establishment news, they're just favorable to the president. Like, that's no big deal. He just talks about it like it's no big deal.
Well, I mean, we already know that. I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's
but
an
he's part of the
thing.
machine.
Right,
He's part of the machine.
And he's perpetrating it.
Yeah. So did you hear about Ivanka? Ivanka Trump. She goes to Germany, and it got a little awkward.
Oh, the crowd getting.
Yeah. Well, did they? I can't quite tell.
Well, they kind of booed and hissed.
So I have the raw video here.
Sadly, the United States is one of the only countries in the world, the only developed country in the world that doesn't have a paid leave policy.
You remember how she's supposedly a Republican and her dad's a conservative, and here she's. I mean, this is not.
Well, the paid leave policy, that's a Democratic.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, that's interesting. Anyways,
yeah.
So sitting next to her, by the way, is the gal that used to run the International Monetary Fund, and I believe she is also the best friend of Donald Trump, and they go in on tanning bed purchases
for the benefit of families. So that is something I'm very, very proud of my father's advocacy. Long before he came into the presidency, but during the campaign, including in the primaries. He's been a tremendous champion of supporting families.
I don't hear any booing.
No. It's when she talked about women.
And enabling them to thrive in the new reality of
I'm going to fast forward a little
times,
bit. No, that was it right there. That was it.
The reaction from
I'm going to go. That's it. That's it.
He's been a tremendous champion of supporting families and enabling them to thrive in the new reality of.
There was a little bit of something.
It's weak though, dude. I can barely hear it in the background.
I've heard it on better audio.
You hear the reaction from the audience, so I need to.
You're saying there's other clips where it sounds more booing?
Yeah, you can hear it a
like
lot
they
better.
mic'd the crowd?
I don't know, but there was. I've definitely heard better audio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so but that isn't even the awkward thing. That's not the awkward thing. Was like some of the questions where she gets asked like, "Who are you and who are you representing? Why are you here?"
This is CNN breaking news.
Top of the hour, 9 a.m. Eastern. Good morning, everyone. I'm Poppy Harlow.
And I'm John Berman. We have breaking news this morning. A fiery reception for Ivanka Trump, the first daughter on her first official overseas trip, in the middle right now of maybe her first foreign controversy. Ms. Trump is in Germany with a packed schedule that includes a women's empowerment conference and a dinner with Chancellor Angela Merkel.
Of course, she is not there not just as a blood relative of the president, but as an official advisor to him in the White House. And moments ago, while she was on that panel, you saw her there with Angela Merkel, the chief of the IMF. She was greeted with tough questions about what does she actually do and who does she actually work for? Listen.
The German audience is not that familiar with the concept of a first daughter. I'd like to ask you, what is your role and whom are you representing? Your father as the President of the United States, the American people, or your business?
Well, certainly not the latter. And I am rather unfamiliar with this role as well, as it is quite new to me.
And it got a little bit more uncomfortable when there seemed to be jeers from the audience over questions about her father's treatment of women. Let's get straight to Joe Johns.
It is kind of awkward.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's being a little disingenuous. I mean, she knows exactly what she's doing, and that was her way of skirting the question. Well, definitely not the latter, but my position's so new. So she never really answered the question.
I thought she did a good job, though.
But, I mean, it's a good spin to answer, but not, I don't think she, fully.
Yeah, I suppose you're probably right. So unless you have any more thoughts.
No, I'm good.
Let's shift.
You mean let's Adam Schiff?
Let's shift.
Let's shift. Adam Schiff.
Don't.
I know you like that guy.
That triggers me, buddy. I'm sitting here. I'm trying to have a good podcast with you. I want to have a good time.
You really don't like that guy.
I really, 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 really don't like Adam Schiff.
So you need to look up Adam Schiff and Conan.
Okay, really?
Because he was on Conan.
Oh, but I can't play on the show. It'll get us taken down.
I know, but you just look it up.
Okay, I will after the show.
I mean, it shows that he's a person.
Oh, really? That would be good because right now I feel like he's as evil as John McCain, but just without
evil.
But speaking of evil, there's a new book out about Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Oh. And are you talking about the campaign was evil or Hillary?
I'm sorry. What? I feel like that's an artificial distinction that does not need to be made there.
Sure.
Can the answer be all of the above?
Yes. C.
So it's called Shattered, and I have no idea how this is going to work.
I was trying to figure out what the hell you were doing over
I had
there.
Noah set up my phone, so that way I could play a clip
there's
for
a much easier way of doing that, right? You could have just went to like audible.com and just logged in, right?
I can play it on the web like that? That's something you can do?
Yeah, there's like every book has a sample clip you can play.
Exhausted.
Hey,
so I'm gonna play a clip for you here.
All right.
In a moment. I had it, so it looks like it's gonna work. But first, I want to set it up for you. So the book is called Shattered, and it's about basically the failing of the Hillary Clinton campaign, the internal drama. Now, I have a couple of things to say right off the top about this.
All right.
Just so you understand the background, this was actually originally created as a book to document Hillary Clinton winning the presidency. The authors started it with that premise because it just seemed like a foregone conclusion. And so Shattered was actually going to be her shattering the glass ceiling,
Makes sense.
ironically enough. And so as part of the process of doing this book, they got interviews that were very candid because they had a rule they had to follow, that none of this could be published until after the election. So they got a few extra things disclosed that weren't normally disclosed. The book itself is meandering. It's slow, and it's essentially pro-Hillary. It's essentially favorable Hillary. But there are a few interesting tidbits about it, and the Clinton campaign definitely doesn't like it.
Hillary Clinton's defeat in last year's presidential race was one of the biggest upsets in political history. But while her election night loss may have shocked the world, two journalists say signs pointing to that very outcome were hiding in plain sight.
They detail their findings in the new book, Shattered, Inside Hillary Clinton's Doomed Campaign. How's that for a title? And we welcome the authors, Jonathan Allen and Amy Parnes. Guys, congrats on the new book.
Thanks.
Thank you. So there are a host of people across the country that want to know what happened. One of the things that I took away from the book was there were two axes inside the camp. The data and analytics team driven by Robbie Mook and the sort of gut retail politics team largely helmed by John Podesta and Bill Clinton. John, what happened between those two factions?
See, that's not actually the interesting part. The interesting part about it is, and they go on and on here, and I'll play a little bit more of it for you. There's several interesting aspects of this whole entire campaign, as you would imagine on a campaign like this.
Emails, for example, Amy. Hillary Clinton didn't want to apologize or really take that on head first in the way that a lot of her staff seemed to think that she needed to.
And there was a moment of tension that we detail in the book where she's like, she and the president are kind of frustrated about why their message isn't resonating. And they kind of take it out on their aides. They're like, come on, get it together. They don't quite realize what's happening, that the email has sort of, become the campaign.
Like you were saying, like they did not appreciate that noose around their neck.
No, they didn't.
Now,
and I told you it was going to not go away.
I'll tell you, there's several things covered in these interviews, and the Clinton campaign's been working hard. The people that are still part of that have been saying, don't read it, don't bother, it's sensationalized.
First major post-mortem on the Clinton campaign is out, and the Clinton folks are making it clear they don't like it one bit. We actually have the first official response to the book. The book is called Shattered, Inside Hillary Clinton's Doomed Campaign, and it's written by D.C. journalist Jonathan Allen and Amy Parnes. It's actually the pair's second book on Secretary Clinton. This one purports to be an account of the infighting and gridlock that aides say paralyzed the Clinton campaign almost from the start. Allen and Parnes write, Hillary's campaign was so spirit-crushing that her aides eventually shorthanded the feeling of impended doom with a simple mantra, we're not allowed to have nice things.
That's what they'd say. They'd say she'd have something come up, and then a roadblock could come up in front of her and knock her down again, and this is why we can't have nice things. And that would become repeated over and over again.
The book delves into the alleged tension among Clinton's top staffers, especially what the authors say is the frosty relationship between John Podesta and Robbie Mook, as well as cohabiting.
Robbie Mook, turns out, big up-and-coming player in the Democratic Party. He helped clean house at the DNC and get a bunch of Clinton allies stacked up there. His work that he did there got him a position in Clinton's campaign because she wanted to, instead of having infighters, she wanted people that wanted Democrats to win. So she brought in Mook to work with Podesta, and it turns out it was like water and oil.
Insulating Hillary Clinton from any criticisms. Books come out about the Clintons all the time, but the interesting thing about this one is how vehemently former Clinton staffers are pushing back on it. Staffers like Jen Paul Mary, Nick Merrill, and Philippe Reince have been tweeting photos of aides working together, saying there was no animosity behind the scenes. And this afternoon, we received a statement from Clinton spokesperson and former campaign press secretary Nick Merrill on behalf of Secretary Clinton, and it reads in full.
And we don't need to go into it. So they're pushing back. And I wanted to play, it's funny because none of these guys, CNN, MSNBC, none of them are talking about the most interesting thing from the book. It's just a couple of sentences long, and I want to play it for you because I bought it. I've read it, and I have that section bookmarked here, and it's just going to take a minute. But I think it's extremely, extremely relevant to all of the things we've been talking about in the show for the last few months, especially the last 100 days. It's supposed to be playing right now, but I don't hear it.
Her friend.
There we go.
And exhausted. After two brutal campaigns against Sanders and Trump, Hillary now had to explain the failure to friends in lists and political surrogates in the days after the election.
So I want to stop here. I want to give, I guess, a little more context.
And political surrogates in the days after the election.
So this is right after she lost the election, I guess, which is sort of obvious right there. So
Okay.
this is right after she lost the election, and starting about 24 hours after she lost the elections, when the timeline we care about.
Mook and Podesta assembled her communications team at the Brooklyn headquarters to engineer the case that the election wasn't entirely on the up and up. For a couple of hours, with Shake Shack containers littering the room, they went over the script they would pitch to the press and the public. Already, Russian hacking was the centerpiece of the argument. In Brooklyn, her team coalesced around the idea that Russian hacking was the major unreported story of the campaign, overshadowed by the contents of stolen emails and Hillary's own private server imbroglio. They also decided to hammer the media for focusing so intently on the investigation into her email, which had created a cloud over her candidacy. The press botched the email story for 18 months, said one person who was in the room. Comey obviously screwed us, but the press created the story. Hillary wasn't in the room that day, but in private conversations with top aides in the immediate days following her loss, she struggled with the question of why Obama hadn't done more to apprise the public that the Russians had gone way beyond what had been reported.
I think it's fascinating that within 24 hours, her Podesta and Mook and her team got together and said, we got to come up with a narrative. We've got to say it was the Russian hacking. Then we have to come up with a way to pitch it to the media. And that was just part of their communications plan. And now we've gone from that to this entire frickin' mess.
That shows you a lot. I think, it really should open up a lot of eyes to people that what you see on the news and what we cover every single day, or every single week on this show, is there's a lot of things, a lot of strategies, and a lot of game plans, and a lot of things, and
a lot of stuff behind the scenes going on.
People and grooming, and it's just so much. There's so much of it.
Yep. Your buddy's back, by the way. Speaking of Hillary.
Oh.
I don't know what to do with that. By the way, before we go on, I guess all I have to say is, if you buy that the Russians actually influenced the election, then you are buying a narrative that was cooked up 24 hours after Hillary lost the election by people.
To be honest, I think it was cooked up long before.
Oh, it was,
that.
but they capitalized on the narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
There he is.
Yo.
Everybody have a seat.
Hey, come down there.
Have a seat. Hello, everybody. So,
what's going on?
What's been going on while I've been gone?
Yeah, he's back. He's feeling good. He's fired up.
Yeah, I was just hanging out with Branson,
Yep. It is wonderful to be home.
Yep.
It is wonderful to be at the University of Chicago. It is wonderful to be on the south side of Chicago. And it is wonderful to be with these young people here. There's a need for a rescue mission.
He's back, buddy.
The world needs help.
Here he comes.
And that's the story.
So Obama's back. He's feeling good. He wants everybody to know it.
Glad to be here.
And it's a two-pronged attack because it's not just Barry talking to the kids. It's also your old buddy,
my good friend,
Josh Earnest, out pushing the message.
What's Josh doing?
Well, he meant to, except for they forgot to mic him.
I'm joined by Josh Earnest, White House press secretary under Mr. Obama and an MSNBC political analyst. Good.
Yeah, that means he gets paid by MSNBC.
We give him a little cut.
The Obama's old PR guy, what Sean Spicy now does, that guy, Josh Earnest, now works for MSNBC.
That's weird.
It's so weird.
That's weird.
Earnest, White House press secretary under Mr. Obama and an MSNBC political analyst. Good to see you, Josh. How are you?
Doesn't have a mic on.
He doesn't have a mic on.
And then look at Josh.
Josh
look at
is like,
face. Look at that face,
what's going on here?
Yeah, that is an oh shit face. That's the oh shit face of a man who's been trained not to have an oh shit face right there.
Doesn't have a mic on.
He doesn't have a mic on.
Josh?
And then you see the production guy over there. He reaches over and tries to mic Josh real quick.
Doesn't have a mic on.
Josh? We're getting him re-mic'd right now.
Anyways, Josh had to get that mic on so that way he could do some shilling for Barry.
He also got a pretty harsh critique. It surprised me from Keith Ellison. I think we have that here. Get y'all to respond.
Let's take a look.
Barack Obama could have been a better party leader. Given that we did not, we lost a lot of state house seats, governorships, secretaries of states. His true legacy is in danger, and I think that he can't say that he wasn't part of those losses.
Man, that hurts because he's black. That's why that hurts. If that was a white guy, that wouldn't hurt so bad. But guys, another black guy said this about him. Hey, this is bad, guys. A black guy said this.
Well, listen what Deputy Chairman Ellison just said.
So are they literally paying Josh Earnest to sit here and defend Obama? Is that his job on MSNBC?
Well, he must be getting good benefits.
And at first, the first couple of words out of Josh's mouth, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, he's just going to give good commentary. And then by about the 5th, 6th, 7th words out of his mouth, I realize he's shilling for Barry.
Is true. Barack Obama didn't run to be a party leader.
I'm like, wow, look at Josh. Oh, wait, no, this is the new line. This is the new marketing line.
Barack Obama ran to be president of the United States.
Oh, so that's just your new talking point. Okay.
True. Barack Obama didn't run to be a party leader. Barack Obama ran to be president of the United States. He ran to get things done. He took on healthcare reform, probably the most politically unpopular thing that he did.
Yeah, he screwed me with healthcare reform.
When we make a mistake, we own up to it.
Dude, I don't have that one ready yet. I got too many Obama ones.
This is a rowdy crowd.
That's what I got. I got too many Obama clips.
Hey, it's only been nearly 100 days, and you don't have. I mean, you have a few Trump clips.
I love these too much. I mean, that's too good, dude.
That's how we go. That's how we roll.
Those are the politics, but in spite of the politics, he recognized that there was an opportunity to do something that presidents had tried to do for.
You like how they have Trump and Putin in the background?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Isn't that great? And this is in the middle. He's screwing up.
Trump is yelling at John. Oh, it's a video clip they're playing.
Yeah, no, it's just pictures, dude. They got like an Apple TV slideshow going on back there.
Popular thing that he did, not because of the politics, but in spite of the politics, he recognized that there was an opportunity to do something that presidents had tried to do for 100 years but didn't succeed in doing. He did succeed in getting that done.
What would that be? Obamacare? Is he talking about Obamacare?
Uh-oh.
And he's proud of his legacy.
Oh, good. Got to mention the legacy. Yeah, so you got Josh in there defending Barry. So Clinton with the shattered book, their camp super upset. Obama's back. He's looking good. He's vacationed. He's making jokes.
Not using Just for Men gray, but that's all right.
No, I think it's a good look for him. Yeah, I think it's an experienced salt and pepper look.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know about you, man, but I am really encouraged about the UN and about them having Saudi Arabia run up the Human Rights Council. I think this is a really good development. No problem at all.
This is interesting. Some growing outrage now as Saudi Arabia is set to join the UN's leading women's rights organization.
Well, this is interesting. This is interesting as a black woman. I find this to be interesting. Oh, this is interesting.
Let's take a
look. Saudi
look.
Arabia, who has an atrocious history with women's rights, is going to be involved with women's rights in the UN. Very interesting.
Well, this is interesting. Some growing outrage now as Saudi Arabia is set to join the UN.
This story out of nowhere.
This is interesting. This is just interesting, guys.
I just pulled this out of the C-section here on the newspaper.
The C-section, Chase?
The A, B,
Well, this is interesting. Some growing outrage now as Saudi Arabia is set to join the UN's leading women's rights organization. Members are electing the Middle Eastern Kingdom to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women.
What the actual F is this? This is outrageous. And guess what? Good news, everybody. Good news. Super great news. Breaking news. Wolf Blitzer breaking news right here, everybody.
This is CNN Breaking News.
It's a secret panel that gets to vote. It's a secret behind closed doors panel that's electing Saudi Arabia.
It is one of 12 new countries chosen by secret ballot. The commission promotes gender equality and the empowerment of women.
Who voted for them for secret ballot?
It promotes gender equality. Give me a break.
That is not. When I look up Saudi Arabia, I don't see that listed anywhere.
No.
Not even a footnote.
Drives me nuts that this is something that goes on at the UN. It makes them seem like a clown operation. It's gross. You know what's not gross, though?
What's that?
Killing terrorists in the head.
Confirmed. Bin Laden is dead. Osama bin Laden is dead.
Kill him!
Multiple sources. Osama bin Laden is dead. Yeah!
And the day that he found out that story about the 72 virgins waiting for him on the other side was bunk. Dead.
The world's most wanted man.
Bin Laden.
Osama bin Laden.
The leader of Al-Qaeda.
Man, are you pumped right now, dude?
Oh my God.
Are you super pumped?
This is like This is amazing.
I am so freaking pumped about killing people right now. It's ridiculous.
Osama bin Laden,
The leader of Al-Qaeda.
shot in Pakistan. Shot.
Somebody should remind them that happened under Obama. They might tamper their enthusiasm.
Are they putting a CRT filter on this?
Oh yeah, buddy. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Shot in Pakistan. Shot in the face. Dead. It's buried in the face.
Dead.
Just pop, pop, pop.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden. We can say to those families who have lost loved ones to Al-Qaeda's terror, justice has been done.
Yeah, buddy.
America!
God, I am so pumped right now. So of course, with an intro like that, can we just stop for a second?
Yeah.
Let's
stop the show.
That was a serious production element. This is for their morning show, and they've got a team of people just producing shit like that. I would kill for that.
They made this for Trump before he walks out the door.
No, better, bigger.
Bigger.
Do you remember Rob O'Neill? Does that name ring a bell?
Rob O'Neill.
Kinda.
Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill killed Osama bin Laden.
The guy that the mainstream media is claiming is the killer of...
Wait, how many different titles has this guy had?
It's been a bunch, man.
I know.
And that's why I'm covering this clip, because it's been like a character on our show.
You will get super brownie points if you go back and just find all the different titles.
Man, do it. Somebody please do that as a gift.
That'd be so good.
Every time Rob O'Neill's been on the show,
he's had a different title.
Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill killed Osama bin Laden. But that's not all. Here with his brand new book, comes out today. It's called The Operator, Firing the Shots That Killed Osama bin Laden. In my years as...
Do you think he plays Call of Duty or Battlefield?
I don't.
Do you think his handle is
I don't know
operator?
if he doesn't, but if I was the people making Call of Duty, I'd call up Rob O'Neill and have him voice a character.
We want to make you the operator.
As a SEAL team warrior, Rob O'Neill joins us live.
SEAL
Good morning
team
to you.
warrior?
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for having me.
The book is great.
I appreciate that. It was a long time coming. It's a great story about growing up a normal person in Butte, Montana, and finding yourself in Abbottabad, Pakistan.
I don't know, man. Something about this doesn't seem right.
Exactly. So let's start at the beginning. All right. So you're growing up. You're an avid hunter in junior high.
Yeah, we grew up hunting quite a bit.
One day you met a Navy SEAL.
We did. Yes, I took a Navy SEAL hunting. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I knew it was Special Forces.
So this is an interesting thing that the media does, where they build out a character like this. So anyways, you can find The Operator on bookshelves. Read it right after you get done reading the Shattered book. Isn't that something? Isn't that really something?
Dude, I want to go shoot now.
I know.
I really want to go shoot.
I want to go hunting.
I want to go, knock down some fences or something.
I want to go hunt, Chase. That's what I want. I want to go hunting. I want to go hunt.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so Rob O'Neill's got a book out, buddy.
Well, good for him. You know, the Navy SEAL book writer.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Nice
hey, Chase, I don't know if, do you have anything in the sack this week? Are you ready for a sack? Or?
Well, I do have something to announce. What? Are you dialing? Yeah. Hold on. Stay off the phone. I'm calling in.
What do you got?
All right. Well, first off, I want to say thanks to all Club 33. We are now back up to capacity.
Oh, good.
Because last week we had a couple spots open. We were back to capacity. However, nothing in the sack this week. I checked the box, nothing there. So remember, if you are part of Club 33 and you want to be a part of my sack, head over to patreon.com/unfilter. There you can sign up for Club 33. And then every week before the show, we send out an email or an alert to say, hey, how would you like to be in my sack and be a part of the C-section?
There you go.
I brought it full circle.
Nice.
There you go.
Now here's what happens, because we didn't have anybody that submitted anything to our sack at patreon.com/unfilter. We had to sell the available time that we've allocated here. So I just,
Is it another book?
I put it up for sale, and
what do you got?
Maxine Waters bought the space. So
all right, Maxine.
Maxine had something she wanted to share with the people.
She has the floor.
So she gets the spot.
Right. I have not called for impeachment.
You said I'm going to fight every day until he's impeached. That's what you tweeted.
Yeah, but here's what I've said. And my greatest desire is to lead him right into impeachment in order to do the impeachment. Because as for me, I think it leads to impeachment, and I believe that, and that's what I'm paying attention to.
So that's how Maxine feels about his first 100 days. Dude.
All right, so impeach. Got it.
So yeah. Just
but she didn't say that though.
No. She definitely.
Got it.
No, in fact, I don't know if you heard it, but she says clearly there that she did not say that. She says, "I did not call for."
I have not called for impeachment.
There you go.
All right,
so that's pretty clear, dude.
Direct quote.
And she just wanted to make sure that since we didn't have anybody that had anything for our sack, that we got that in the show. Patreon.com/unfilter. Any level is appreciated. And
Absolutely.
If you get in there and you get the supporter sync, dig through the back posts and get access to that BitTorrent sync. Lots of extra clips in the supporter sync this week. Lots of extra clips.
Lots of good stuff.
Now, I have a couple of notes in the high note for you.
Would you call them escalated notes?
Yeah, I've escalated them a little bit.
Fair enough. All right.
You want to start? Let's start with a downer. A little bit of a downer.
Yeah, because I want to end high.
Yes, exactly.
He was an avid skier, river runner, biker, enjoying life to its fullest.
Bad enough that his once healthy son needed a double lung transplant to live.
His lungs collapsed, and that fast. And they still have no idea what happened.
When he was told his son could not be on the transplant list, Mark Hansey...
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was kind of a bullshit reason why he couldn't get new lungs. You know, young kid in his 20s, pretty good life.
Yeah.
Athletic, pretty good shape.
Okay.
The reason?
Now, what do you think it is?
Oh, well, if it's a high note.
Yeah.
He did smoke marijuana on Thanksgiving night with his friends.
And tested positive for THC.
Is that really a reason to disqualify him?
The doctor told Riley,
"You will die. You better get your affairs in order."
And his reaction to this?
Oh, he started crying.
His father tells me Riley had been drug-free for a year.
Riley was not a big pot smoker. He did smoke pot. He's a 19-year-old ski guy.
The University of Utah cannot talk specifically about Riley's case, but the hospital follows international guidelines for transplants and evaluates cases individually. In a statement, we do not transplant organs in patients with active alcohol, tobacco, or illicit drug use or dependencies until these issues are addressed, as these substances are contraindicated for a transplant. Age and other medical conditions may also exclude patients from the list.
It's not like he's a smoker for 30 years. And
this is what I don't get. They just said on a case-by-case individual basis.
They eventually did approve it, but it was too late, and he ended up dying.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yep.
Bring me out of this funk, Chris.
All right, here you go, buddy.
While pot use, sale, and possession remain illegal federally, 8 states, they are highlighted for you in green, of course, there on the map. 8 states have now legalized recreational marijuana use. The nation's capital does not allow sales, but recreational use at home.
Does this guy seem a little excited to you?
He's happy.
Yeah, it's because it's 420. I recorded this clip on it's 420.
Okay,
is legal there in Washington, D.C. There's a new poll out. It shows
April
just
20th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So did you hear what he said there? That DC, it's legal, but you can't buy it there.
Right. There's no. It's kind of like how Washington was for a time.
Well, how the hell do you get it then? Can anybody in the DC area tell us? Because
they just grow it covertly.
8 states have now legalized recreational marijuana use. The nation's capital does not allow sales, but recreational use at home is legal there in Washington, D.C. There's a new poll out. It
I don't understand how you're supposed to get the pot if it's legal, but you can't sell it.
shows just how much attitudes are changing around pot. To dig deeper, let's turn to our data guru, senior political editor Mark Murray, on this 420 holiday.
You know, he's a data guru, so they got to give him one of these crappy touchscreens that still are less sophisticated.
I'm sorry,
than
John King is the best of the touchscreen.
Yeah,
no one can touch him.
Yeah, I agree. John King definitely manages to work with the touchscreen the best. But if you're going to do a touchscreen on, okay, I guess I'll frame it this way. Maybe I'll change this.
All right.
If podcaster at Jupiter Broadcasting was going to do a large touchscreen, I would at least have it be more functional than a tablet from 7 years ago.
Holiday for some, I should point out.
Watch this guy as he tries to use it. So first of all, pay attention to the host. He totally admits that he's celebrating 420.
I should point out.
Now, let me go back a little bit here because it's good stuff.
Let's turn to our data guru, senior political editor Mark Murray, on this 420 holiday. On this 420 holiday.
He calls it a holiday.
Yeah, because he's loving it, dude.
Because he's doing it, man.
On this 420 holiday. Holiday for some, I should point out. What does this new polling say, first of all, Mark?
Craig, it actually shows things that are pretty consistent with
He has to press it twice.
With other polls that we've actually seen, in this poll, 61% of Americans say that they support legalization of marijuana. In this poll, it's up from 5 points back in April. And again, this is pretty consistent with what other surveys have shown, that a majority or even a little bit more than that back legal marijuana use. But what I think is very striking is just look at the change from 1979, where you just had 27% of the public that actually supported marijuana legalization.
You know what this shows me right here?
Yeah, so in 1979, 27% said yes, 69% said no.
There's a lot of factors in play here. I mean, first off, you got internet, information. The way to research is much easier now than it was in 1979. Obviously, it's a generational thing, and we've already gone through, what, nearly 2 generations worth right there at that point. So you look at this information and numbers, it's not necessarily attitudes have changed. We just have new people. We have new information. We have new research.
I also think that pot has become more available in that time, and the more people that try pot, the less people are against it. Like once people try it, they're like, oh, this is not a big deal. This affects my life less than drinking a couple of cans of beer does.
Yeah.
And I think once you make that realization, you sort of calm the fuck down about everything.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So now in 2016, you fast forward, 56% say yes, 36% say no. And I would be even curious to know why it's even that high and that low. Why is it only 56% is my question. And I think depending on where you poll, it sometimes can be a lot higher and it sometimes is lower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over a 40-year span, a very big sea change. And then a couple other numbers. You have 88% of Americans, almost 9 in 10, who back making medical marijuana legal.
You know, the whole medical angle is an interesting one. You know, and that's really what busted this thing open, was getting people to acknowledge that there was some kind of medical advantage to pot. That dirty Mexican marijuana has some sort of medical value. I don't know. Maybe it's for those cancer patients, those cancer people. Maybe that's who it's good for. But I don't know. And then as that expanded and it became beneficial to more and more people. Well, sure, medical. Yeah, let the suffering people, the people I don't want to know about, the people I don't want to think about, the people I don't want to have to deal with, they can smoke pot because they're probably already fucked up on pharmaceuticals anyways. Let them smoke it. And then it turns out that actually did bleed into general recreational usage. It's by starting with medical and focusing on medical and doing a very focused, we're not trying to get everyone smoking pot here, we're just trying to get medical marijuana approved, and doing that state by state, they slowly, over that 40 years, changed people's opinion about it.
And then you end up having 71% of Americans opposing federal government crackdown of legal sales of marijuana. And certainly that seems to be some of the rhetoric coming from the Trump administration, certainly Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
So what can we attribute the shift in numbers there, Mark? Or do we know? Do we know why attitudes seem to be changing somewhat swiftly?
Yeah, Mark, what do you think? By the way, Mark, happy 420.
Well, Craig, one has to do with just a younger generation that marijuana legalization is supported by younger people. And as younger people are becoming a bigger part of the country, these numbers go up. But there's also one other reason I think it's really fascinating, Craig. 53% of Americans in the same CBS poll say that alcohol is more harmful to the health. Just 7% cite marijuana. And so there's a bigger stigmatization of alcohol than there is on marijuana.
Mark Murray, our senior political editor, and today guru of all things weed.
I bet the people who answered that question thought about, you know how many times I threw up on the porcelain bowl?
God, no kidding.
Right, you know.
How many times have you been hungover and been like, I am never drinking again. This is the worst.
I've had enough.
Yeah, that's enough to turn you off right there. All right, that brings us to the end of 234.
234.
You know, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah,
I'm going to miss it.
It was a very good one.
Yeah. And next week, I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Well, next week's crazy because FYI, you guys, in case you haven't been looking at the calendar, next weekend we will be live up in Bellingham, Washington for Linux Fest Northwest. So make sure you are following Jupiter Signal on the Twitters because there's going to be a lot happening.
Yeah. Yep. And if things get too crazy and we don't have an episode, don't worry. We'll try to make up Try to make it up. But I think everything should go as planned.
Yes. Let's cross our fingers.
In the meantime,
yes.
Where should people find you on the internet, Mr. Chase?
You know what? I'd love people follow me on Twitter at Nunes, N-U-N-E-S. And if you love the gaming stuff, I'm doing a lot of gaming over at twitch.tv/GeekGamerTV.
Shut your face.
A lot of fun stuff. Playing a lot of City Skylines, which, by the way, is on Linux.
I've seen that.
Yes.
I used to vlog back in the day.
To?
Well, I will again.
Yeah, okay. Where can people find that?
I have more. YouTube.com/Chris Fisher for now. And you can follow me on the Twitter for now at ChrisLAS. I got new stuff in the works too. Check out LinuxActionNews.com.
What?
Yeah, and
Linux Action News?
Don't miss our live streaming, like Mr. Chase was just talking about, at Linux Fest coming up very, very, very soon.
Yeah.
Details also in Linux Action Show. And last but not least, I want to give a big thank you to producer Matt for the great clips. I want to give a big thank you to our subreddit for helping us sort through the news, unfilter.reddit.com. And if you want to get a hold of us, well, we would love that. JupiterBroadcasting.com/contact. And if you want to get read in the show, Patreon.com/unfilter. Got to get in Club 33. Stick around, though. The overtime's coming up. The show's not... Doesn't matter. You can leave now. I mean, it's fine.
But we already talked about this.
It's probably nothing.
We won. Now it's time to celebrate with the overtime.
That's right. Yeah, in fact, in the overtime, we're going to have a very special guest, too, so stick around. If you're leaving, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week. Don't believe their lies. The show's not over yet. No. In fact, some scholars would argue it's just getting started. It's time for the Unfiltered Overtime, brought to you by Patreon.com/Unfiltered. Thank you to our new patrons, Justin James, Message to Observer, and Bobby. You are our new patrons this week. I could use a few more on a week like this week. Been working this week for you guys. Working it! And I always appreciate the support at Patreon.com/Unfiltered. Keep this show going, a show for the people. Speaking of the people, one of those patrons, a very special patron, is joining us in studio for the overtime this week. Hey there, Noah.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being a patron.
No worries.
So we got a bunch of good stuff to go through, but no, one of the things we like to do right here at the top of the overtime is do a little segment called Oh, Nancy.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, it started as a segment about Nancy Pelosi.
Okay.
Minority Speaker of the House, sort of the leader of the Democratic Party at this point, and arguably. It started to just sort of document her decline. But then I realized what it really was documenting the systemic rot that is the corporatist Democrats that has plagued their party now, the leadership of their party now, and caused them to lose election after election. But I like to start with like the tip of that spear. Like, you know, if it was, I don't know if you ever heard this analogy of the iceberg before.
Oh yeah.
Tip of that iceberg would be like your Nancy Pelosi's, your Chuck Schumer's, your your Maxine Waters, you know, you know those. So here's a little ditty. Here's just to get us warmed up. We'll do a little check in with your good buddy, your friend Bernie Sanders.
Oh yeah.
Before we get to Nancy, because Bernie has a few opinions about the Democrats too.
And we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders, who is back home in Burlington after a week-long tour of red states, along with the head of the Democratic Party. Welcome, Senator. I want to talk to you about that unity tour you were on. You were with DNC Chairman Tom Perez. He was booed a little bit in Maine. There's also a little dust-up over your endorsement of a candidate in Omaha. What are the terms of the discussion in the Democratic Party right now about its direction?
I think what is clear to anyone who looks at where the Democratic Party today is that the model of the Democratic Party is failing. We have a Republican president who ran as a candidate, as the most unpopular candidate in modern history of this country. Republicans control the House, the Senate, 2/3 of governor's chairs. And in the last 8 years, they have picked up 900 legislative seats. Clearly, the Democratic Party has got to change. And in my view, what it has got to become is a grassroots party, a party which makes decisions from the bottom on up, a party which is more dependent on small donations than large donations, a party, John, that speaks to the pain of the working class in this country.
Sounds like somebody who's maybe pushing for a position.
You know, I give Bernie Sanders this, Chris. I trust Bernie Sanders. I may not agree with him on anything, but he's an honest guy. He comes to you straightforward, and he says what he believes. I believe when he says he wants a party of small donations, he wants a grassroots. I believe he really believes that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You heard the interviewer ask about the Tom Perez drama. Let me just show you a little bit of what this is. Tom Perez now, he's the guy that runs the DNC now.
Right.
Those Republican leaders and President Trump don't give a about the people they were trying to hurt. They call it a skinny budget. I call it a budget. He's a damn liar. That's what I say, pal. You're right, he's a liar. Because the Republican leadership doesn't give a about people who are suffering. That's bull, friends. They call it a skinny budget. I call it a budget.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is, I guess he's trying to make waves by using, I mean, politicians are always so calculated that I tend not to think this stuff is just a natural spur of the moment.
Right.
He's a free-talking maverick. I think this is a calculated thing.
I agree. I don't think it's working for him. I think he's trying to kind of do the Donald Trump-ism of the I'll just speak my mind and bring it to you real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it comes off as well.
All right, so let's now from Tom Perez, let's go to Nancy Pelosi, who garbles some words, mispronounces country names, and managed to do it all in a short speech.
And Hassan Shireh, for your well-deserved recognitions tonight to all. Today, the strong moral voice of Refugees International. We degrade our values and our security when we slam the door in the face of children fleeing atrocities.
Oh, man, this is thick. We're 17 seconds in. We're 17 seconds in.
With the specter of famine looming over northeast Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen, slashing the State Department budget and foreign aid budget by 30%, would only deepen the crisis facing the children. Children need America to be their champion. Thank you, Refugees International, for your leadership. Thank you for your moral advocacy and your action. Thank you for challenging us.
Whoa, dude! Hold on, let's do that one again.
Thank you for challenging us to.
She's almost Hillary Clinton there, tweaking out.
And your action. Thank you for challenging us to honor our values as a nation. Thank you all for the honor to participate this evening. Thank you so much.
So that's leader of the Democrats right there, Nancy Pelosi, who also said that Donald Trump has been showing weakness recently.
Nancy Pelosi of California. Leader Pelosi, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning. My pleasure to be with you from Texas.
Let me ask you, since you are coming from a state that might be impacted by a border wall, is there any scenario that you will support or that Democrats will help keep the government open if there is money designated to build the wall?
The Democrats do not support the wall. And I think that the Republicans on the border states do not support the wall. The Republicans have the votes in the House.
Her eyes look very glossy, don't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm almost wondering if she's not drunk. I almost wonder if it's like pills.
Very heavy under her eyes, too. Look at the shadowing on her.
Yeah.
She's in some sort of a TV studio. You think they'd have lights to correct a lot of that?
They would have lights to correct a lot of that.
And the White House to keep government open. The burden to keep it open is on the Republicans. The wall is, in my view, immoral, expensive, unwise. And when the president says, well, I promised a wall during my campaign, I don't think he said he was going to pass billions of dollars of cost of the wall onto the taxpayer.
So I submit to you, here's Exhibit A right here of Nancy Pelosi. She's out there giving a message. She is still the predominant spokesperson of the Democratic platform right now.
Sure.
It doesn't seem to matter that the the voting people have zero interest in anything Nancy Pelosi has to say.
Right.
Or that she seems to constantly embarrass them when she goes out into public.
Absolutely. You know, addressing what she actually said, too. 10 years ago, under Bush, we voted for a wall. We allocated funds for a wall, and then we didn't build the wall. Obviously, when Obama took office, that never went anywhere, and as Trump campaigned on it, then Trump took office, pushing forward with a wall that we've already allocated a certain amount of money for. I'm not exactly seeing where she comes up with, well, we're going to push all this off on the taxpayer. I mean, certainly there's going to be an added burden to the taxpayer.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a vulnerability until Trump is really specific on how he's paying for the wall. Because he keeps floating a few ideas.
Yeah, to me, it's pretty simple. We give a lot of foreign aid to Mexico, but just take it out of their allowance.
Their allowance.
I mean, that's what I would do.
So this might have some dirty language in it, so you have been warned. But it's not just Tom Perez who has a dirty mouth. It seems to me that a lot of the most radical anti-Trumpers have a little bit of a dirty mouth.
We've got to stop his ass.
Those Republican leaders and President Trump don't give a about the people they were trying to hurt.
What's this bitch? I mean, he's supposed to be a positive, make America great guy.
You have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop?
And to our detractors, you. Donald Trump, suck a and our ain't for grabbing.
They saved my ass and some other parts too.
That guy's a moron.
Our president doesn't give a about any of that.
They call their budget a skinny budget. I call their budget a shitty budget. They call it a skinny budget. I call it a budget.
Had a right to do that. He had heard it crapola.
Poop.
Try it. Have you said?
Try it. They got, you know.
Elizabeth Warren.
Wow, dude. Wow. Wow.
There's a unity tour underway right now that appears to be creating sometimes a bit disunity.
Thank Tom Perez for his remarks.
Oh, maybe you came though because you're curious about the new DNC chairman and the future of the Democratic policy.
I came here 2 months ago, two months ago, my friend.
Do you consider yourself a Democrat?
No, I'm an independent.
The guy who came really close in their primaries still does not consider himself a member of the Democratic Party.
Fight for a progressive agenda, which among other things includes a Medicare for all single-payer program.
Is the DNC on board with Medicare for all single payer, Tom?
Well, you know, we want to make sure that health care is a right. It's not a privilege.
We can't bring about the changes that we want unless we have the guts to point the finger at the ruling class of this country and say,
the one sitting right next to him.
You know what? Your greed is destroying this country.
Do you think it's important, as the senator sitting next to you just said, to say the ruling class, his words, of this country, are basically screwing average folks?
I think you're creating a false choice, Chris.
But Mello's record on abortion has some liberal groups abandoning him.
Democratic National Committee Chairman actually had to put out the following statement. I fundamentally disagree with Heath Mello's personal beliefs, the candidate for Omaha mayor, about women's reproductive health. Can you be a Democrat?
Why don't you interview Tom Perez?
The model of the Democratic Party is failing.
You were with DNC Chairman Tom Perez. He was booed a little bit in Maine. There's also a little dust up over the...
There, for those of you listening, Sanders had the biggest grin on his face when they talked about him getting booed. There's also that hard question of when you get asked if you'd support Nancy.
All right, John, there seem to be two crowds in that video. There are the Sanders crowds chanting Bernie and then more of the traditional Democrats in that crowd. But you heard the response when they were introducing the DNC chair, keeping in mind that Senator Sanders questions whether you're a real progressive. Which side of that room are you on?
Well, maybe it's because I'm a little bit new to the scene, Anna, and thank you for having me. But I'm simply not interested in ideological labels or purity tests. I'll tell you where I stand on the issues, and then I'll let the pundits decide how to label me. I want to cut wasteful spending to prioritize research and development, infrastructure, and higher education. I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-LGBT rights. I think the U.S. needs to do its job to limit carbon emissions. And just 6th district, not a potential leadership contest for Democrats to work out.
You know, I'm sorry, this clip sucks. This clip sucks, and I'm totally distracted because in the studio right now, one of our monitors is totally going out, and it's freaking me out. Like,
The backlight is literally going out. And the thing is, this monitor, not to sidetrack too far, but this monitor is almost kind of irreplaceable because it does things that no other display does, like the built-in USB hub and stuff.
Yeah, and the perfect resolution and refresh rate for mirroring our video out. Oh, don't die. Oh, don't die. It's an old Dell monitor. It's been a long time.
You can do it, buddy. You can do it.
Yeah, come back to it. Oh, no. No. Why? Hey, it's back. It's back. It's back.
Because I turned it back on.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's good.
So last week on the show, we talked about Bill O'Reilly a little bit, and you and I were talking about how his podcast would come out, and everybody's going to wonder what he has to say. He made a comment in his podcast. I have a clip that has a clip of it.
Bill O'Reilly says he is sad after losing his top-rated Fox News show amid a sexual harassment scandal. O'Reilly spoke yesterday for the first time since his ouster on his No Spin News podcast. The comments came as Fox News was hit with a new lawsuit. Former anchor Andrea Tantaros accuses executives of high-tech retaliation after she complained of sexual harassment. She says they hacked her phone and emails. Anna Werner is at Fox News headquarters.
That's a massive allegation. She's saying that Fox News retaliated by hacking her phone.
Right here in New York. Anna, good morning.
Good morning. Well, Bill O'Reilly said he was shaken by his ouster, and if Fox News thought that getting rid of him last week would move them beyond negative headlines, they were wrong. Yet another lawsuit makes new claims against multiple Fox executives.
I am sad that I'm not on television anymore.
He's got a little audio noise in his podcast. Do you hear that?
I hear that. Actually, it's GSM noise, I think.
No,
it's a cell phone.
No, if you listen to it, it's like a hard drive. Listen,
Oh,
it's
really?
that typical, like you can hear your hard drive components in your recording. It's totally that because it's got that little tit. It's not the dee.
Oh, yeah. You know what the thing is? Yeah, I got to give him a break. It's not like he has the money to buy good audio gear. So, I mean,
I know.
What can you do?
I know. Yeah, I was actually surprised his audio wasn't more jacked. I thought maybe like they do some sort of super radio processing on his voice. As far as processing goes, they did a good job.
G.I.G.O.
Sad that I'm not on television anymore. I was very surprised how it all turned out. I can't say a lot because there's much stuff going on right now.
Much stuff. But he thinks the truth shall be revealed.
That was Bill O'Reilly last night on his podcast.
Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly reporting from Washington.
Nearly a week after he was fired from Fox News, the 67-year-old used it to speak directly to his fans.
That I'm very confident the truth will come out. And when it does, I don't know if you're going to be surprised, but I think you're going to be shaken as I am.
So he's shaken. He's shaken.
I feel for him.
Yeah. Oh, it's rough. It is. It's rough for Billy. It's rough.
You know, the thing is, Chris, it's not so much Bill O'Reilly, because Bill O'Reilly will ride off into the sunset, never working a day in his life, and it would not affect him, right? He's doing this podcast because he wants to do this podcast.
I guess so.
But the concept that we have weaponized speech and weaponized retaliation against people, that you can destroy somebody's career, somebody's ability to pay a mortgage, somebody's ability to take care of the kids, their retirement, it should be a concerning trend.
Yeah, so the No Agenda show has a good breakdown of this if you guys care more. I didn't really feel like going into it anymore. I feel like the news has sailed. But the whole thing basically came down to a sustained marketing campaign via Twitter against his advertisers to pressure them over a period of about a month to drop Bill O'Reilly. And they had successes. And the leader of this effort was interviewed several times. But the thing that gets even trickier than that is her organization was funded by a super PAC for Hillary that ended up having extra cash after Hillary didn't get elected. And so they funneled it into organizations like this, and there's other ones out there.
Sure.
So this is election money that was left over that was used to hire a marketing firm. So then a damn marketing firm gets paid to start a sustained Twitter campaign and other methods, but the Twitter campaign was a key part of it, to go after Bill O'Reilly.
And character assassination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't like Bill O'Reilly. I've never even able to watch more than 5 minutes of Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah. See, I don't know him. I don't know anything about him. He could be the worst person to work with on the face of the planet. He could be the nicest guy anyone's ever met. I couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is that the way that we've gone about this and the precedent that this sets is very alarming. And I would be saying that if we're talking about Keith Olbermann. Right?
Oh, I would too.
It doesn't matter what side of the political aisle he's on.
Absolutely.
Just this concept that somebody can just accuse you of something, and then everyone kind of jumps on board, and then action is taken, severe action is taken based upon that.
That's what makes it character assassination.
Right. Right.
So your choice. We can do. I got 2 more clips for you in this category.
Okay.
U.S. expands electronics ban or President Trump near casting a message.
Oh, let's talk about the electronics ban.
Let's do it.
A big change that could be coming to flights headed here from Europe. A blockbuster new report says the U.S. may expand its electronics ban to other countries, restricting devices larger than a smartphone in the cabins of planes. ABC's senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has those new details for us. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, Robin. Homeland Security officials are considering whether those travel restrictions on electronic devices bigger than cell phones should be expanded to some airports in Europe, including London. This would increase the number of airports beyond those 10 located in mostly Middle Eastern countries.
Man, London? No! Now that's going too far.
Let me ask you something. What exactly is this supposed to solve?
Laptop bombs and printer bombs.
Oh, yeah, okay. When's the last time a laptop plane, just refresh my memory, when was the last time a plane was taken out of the sky by a laptop bomb and a printer bomb? He's thinking.
Yeah, there's not.
Oh,
I mean, there's a couple like bombs and printers and underwear bombs that were caught. Yeah, this seems, is this just security theater?
It has to
Why?
be. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that until there's always another way that you can sneak something, through. I mean, what if somebody inserts something into their bodily orifice? Are we going to get to that point where we start scanning people that way? I mean, I feel like we're not solving anything here.
That's a solid yes there. I agree, and it's stupid to think that a phone battery couldn't cause issues either. I think that's kind of silly. Let's do a little breakdown here of the Morning Joes.
You look at the poll numbers, Americans really, everything is still up for grabs. Whether you're talking about health care, whether you're talking about tax reform, whatever you're talking about, the House. I mean, poor Paul Ryan, and I'm dead serious. Paul Ryan, the numbers on Paul Ryan down to like 20%.
At what point do we stop taking all of the polls as gospel? How many failures does it take of the polls?
Right.
How many times do the polls have to be wrong?
Brexit, Trump.
Yeah,
those are 2 big examples.
Just recent ones. Those are just recent ones. And it's like, at what point do they? It's sickening because the polls become such a huge focus, and it's not just the media. It's Trump himself is focused on the polls. Politicians are always focused on the polls. The polls. The polls always seem like bullshit to me.
And the thing about the polls is, I think that the very concept of the way that we go about obtaining polls is flawed. Right? People like you and me. How many calls have you answered about how you're voting? 0. Me either. So is my wife. In fact, most of the people under the age of 30, I believe, probably do that. If you really want an accurate poll measure, you'd have to go to social media. And even then, based on privacy settings, you may not be able to get all of the requisite data.
Yeah, and it's easy to game that stuff, too.
Paul Ryan, the numbers on Paul Ryan down to like 20%, 21%, which just shows what a thankless job that job is as Speaker of the House.
Oh, poor Paul Ryan.
There's somehow, even with the Republicans in power, there's this big void and Americans want it filled.
And it doesn't seem like the Democrats are able to sort of even begin rebuilding in terms of they seem to be kind of floundering a little bit.
Yeah, that is just intense when it's MSNBC saying that.
Here are the new numbers overnight from NBC News and Wall Street Journal showing President Trump might also have some more work to do to persuade Americans on his agenda. Confidence is slipping in the president and Republicans' ability to improve health care. Half of Americans have.
So they surveyed. This is how they got this. In April 17th through the 20th, they surveyed 900 American adults. Of those 900 American adults, this is how they answered, with a 3.3% margin of error. That can be so biased so easily. A group of 900
sample size, yeah.
That's just ridiculous. Anyways, I find all of this whole fascination. We're still stuck to the polls. Everybody's still talking about polls like they haven't been completely wrong.
I don't know. I agree with you 100% on the polls. As for the actual information that she's presenting, I don't know that she is wrong. And the reason I say that is because if you think about it, the Republicans have become the the Republican arm of the Democratic Party, right? Paul Ryan is completely useless. His bill was completely useless. That bill, that bill did nothing for anyone. It wasn't going to make the Democrats happy. It wasn't going to make the Republicans happy. And the reality is, when the Democrats, you have to admire the Democrats. When they are in power, they fight. When they are not in power, they fight. They fight no matter what. They protested Neil Gorsuch's hearing, even though they had zero chance of actually doing anything meaningful. They fought it because they fight no matter what, and they deliver to their base. They deliver to their base every single time.
I wouldn't say the corporatist establishment Democrats are anymore.
Well, I don't know. But, even transgender bathrooms, it took them a while to get there, but they got there.
Yeah. The one thing they definitely deliver on is, there's a few, staple issues they won't falter on.
The social issues, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But they get there, and the Republicans have done nothing. And I tell you what, in 2017, I can't believe I'm sitting on mic saying this, but in 2017, I'm questioning if Republicans can deliver a tax break. I mean, come on. Tax cuts? In 2017, I have to wonder if Republicans can deliver tax. That's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think public perception of Republicans is floundering.
And maybe it doesn't help that they keep saying that guys like Alex Jones are Republicans.
And Time reports Greek yogurt giant Chobani says there is no other option but to take conspiracy theorist Alex Jones to court.
No other option.
A lawsuit filed in federal court accuses Jones of making false claims that link Chobani to a spike in tuberculosis and a sexual assault case in Idaho last year. That is where the company operates the world's largest yogurt plant. Don Daler is outside the Chobani Cafe in New York City with how the popular yogurt maker...
The popular yogurt maker, which clearly tells you where their alliances lead. Now, did InfoWars say some stupid shit about a yogurt maker? Probably. That's kind of their MO. But this whole thing, this whole attack on Alex Jones, it continues. And you can listen to the way they talk about Alex versus the way they talk about a yogurt maker.
Cafe in New York City with how the popular yogurt maker became a target of right-wing media.
Now, this is really awkward. I don't know what's going on here. First of all, this guy doesn't know his script. These women and this guy inside this shop are super awkward and distracting. The whole thing is obviously just rushed together.
Don, good morning.
Good morning. Chobani says those stories promoted by Alex Jones and his website InfoWars have encouraged boycotts. Officials in Idaho say Chobani had nothing to do with these crimes.
We did no crimes. That's weird. The officials from the company says that they didn't commit any crimes. Well, okay, let's go to press with that.
Exactly.
But they still say that Alex Jones and others deny that.
Oh, wait, what? Wait, what? So they deny. Okay, so that was really clunky. I don't quite even. I'm gonna have to play it back.
Boycotts. Officials in Idaho say Chobani had nothing to do with these crimes.
Officials in Idaho say Chobani had nothing to do with these crimes. Okay, so that's the statement, I guess, that Alex Jones is denying, and that's why he's being sued.
Right.
That's a weird way to phrase that.
Yeah.
He's not in a
It'd
position.
be more like Alex Jones accused X and they deny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this whole thing feels between the awkward, weird thing going on behind him inside the cafe and the fact that he's not inside the cafe when it's pouring down rain, but he's standing outside in the rain with all of their gear, and then he can't even deliver his line. The whole thing is super weird.
Crimes, but they still say that Alex Jones and others deny that.
I am under massive sustained jihad attack.
InfoWars creator Alex Jones remains defiant about claims he and his website made about Chobani and its founder.
People he brought in and force-fed on America have now been implicated, indicted, and have pled guilty to that.
I like that they put in this shot here, they put the CBS lower third over his lower third. So this actually almost looks like Alex Jones was on CBS.
That's actually a good favor for him.
Yeah, right? I know. They don't even mean to.
Pled guilty to that.
Jones was responding to Chobani's lawsuit, claiming this InfoWars segment is full of lies.
By the way, the InfoWars segment they're about to play for you, not hosted by Alex Jones.
So the report from The Hill said that Breitbart at the time had said that this plant had brought not only refugees, but crime and tuberculosis.
Jones sent the video to his more than 600,000 Twitter followers with the provocative headline, Idaho yogurt maker caught importing migrant rapists.
Now, again, that came from the @InfoWars account, not Alex Jones's account.
Right.
Now, it's a difference. He owns InfoWars.
Yeah.
But if somebody tweets from @JupiterSignal, it doesn't mean I personally tweeted from it.
Right.
But they're not saying that. They're not saying InfoWars. They're saying Alex Jones.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And how many people have access to some of the Jupiter? I mean, I have access to some of that.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff.
With the provocative headline, Idaho yogurt maker caught importing migrant rapists. Chobani says in the complaint, nowhere in the video do the defendants state that the plaintiff was caught importing migrant rapists. Defendants knowingly misrepresented the facts. The story stems from the sexual assault of a 5-year-old girl in Twin Falls, Idaho. 3 boys from refugee families pled guilty. Chobani employs about 300 refugees in its Twin Falls factory. Posts on InfoWars and other right-wing websites suggested the company had some responsibility.
And not one shred of fact to that.
Mayor Sean Berger says he's seen nothing linking the crime to Chobani.
This is another thing. The language here is interesting. So before it was officials in Idaho.
Right.
Now it's the mayor, not Chobani, not the company, not a spokesperson, not a lawyer for the company, not their PR person, which surely they have.
A city politician.
It's a mayor.
Twin Falls factory. Posts on InfoWars and other right-wing websites suggested the company had some responsibility.
And not one shred of fact to that.
Mayor Sean Berger says he's seen nothing linking the crime to Chobani.
But I certainly have heard some folks who've said they're excited to see Chobani make that effort to correct the record.
Excited. Hey, brother, how you doing?
Chobani's founder, Hamdi Yulukaya, is from Turkey and has been vocal on immigration. He spoke to 60 Minutes' Steve Croft earlier this month.
One publication had a headline that...
Now, this seems to me maybe the crux of the entire thing is, so this is really about immigration. So what InfoWars claimed was that they brought in immigration workers who ended up getting out and raping people, et cetera, et cetera.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, of course, sure. So it almost feels like it's interesting how like when CBS is getting a statement, they're getting it from Idaho officials and the mayor, which is probably who the Idaho officials probably was the mayor too.
Right.
And then when they're getting a statement from the company, they're going back to a CBS interview from months ago when they were discussing immigration. Interesting.
They're excited to see Chobani make that effort to correct the record.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
Chobani's founder, Hamdi Yulukaya, is from Turkey and has been vocal on immigration. He spoke to 60 Minutes' Steve Croft earlier this month.
I wonder if they're trying to make a connection between Alex Jones, conspiracy theory, right-wing, fake news, and framing immigration.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
One publication had a headline that said, American yogurt tycoon vows to choke U.S. with Muslims. People targeted you.
Yeah. It was an emotional time. People...
Nice cut.
Hate you for doing something right. I mean, what can you do about that? There's not much you can do.
Jones claims President Trump is one of his fans, and during the campaign,
there we go, making it about Trump.
Promoted another fictitious story about the Democrats and Hillary Clinton running a child sex ring out of a Washington, D.C. pizzeria. But when faced with the possibility of lawsuits, Jones retracted that and apologized. We reached out to Jones and his attorney, but we have not yet heard back from them. Alex.
I mean, again, I'm one of the first people to make fun of Alex Jones, right? But they're doing something. He's getting caught up in like an immigration debate. They're calling him right-wing commentator, like all that stuff.
What it is, I think it's all related to even going back to the Bill O'Reilly thing. I think once you get a drop of blood, the knives come out, and they are in full-out assault mode. If you go on the air and say something that a bunch of people don't like, then they're going to shut you down, and they'll do what they have to do to accomplish to that end.
Is it maybe even going further than that? Is it almost like a saying, shut up or we'll come after you?
Right.
You want to take these positions? We'll get you in the end.
Right.
We'll eat you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
You know what we should do? We should all focus on our fitness. Maybe get trackers.
Could be the key to solving the murder mystery of a 39-year-old mother of two.
Can you believe this? A Fitbit. A Fitbit, Noah.
I think anybody just wants justice. They just want the truth, and they would just like to know, why.
Police say they found evidence.
What's that soundbite got to do with anything?
I don't know. I'm waiting to see the cloud story here.
On this woman's fitness tracker, which ultimately led to her husband's arrest in her shooting death.
What?
He is charged with murder, tampering with evidence, and making a false statement. Joining us now on the story, Mike Galanos. This is I saw the headline earlier and I thought, wait, what? The fitness tracker held the clue here? How so?
Yeah, it dovetails with the timeline that he gave, and the Fitbit helps police put together their timeline, and they believe that's the truth. So to your point, Erica, the Fitbit could be the star witness in all of this.
This is a very complicated sentence structure.
It's a very complicated sentence structure, but what they're trying to allude to seems even more complicated.
Yeah.
Well, like, we can tell when she was moving and when she wasn't moving, and that you construct a narrative around that?
Held the clue here? How so?
Yeah, it dovetails with the timeline that he gave, and the Fitbit helps police put together their timeline, and they believe that's the truth. So to your point, Erica, the Fitbit could be the star witness in all of this.
So it sounds like the Fitbit timeline doesn't match the husband's timeline, because he says the police believe that's the truth.
Yeah.
Let's take you back. Richard Debate says it's December 23rd, 2015. It's 8:30 in the morning. He leaves for work. He knows the alarm is going off at home. This is what he tells police, so he goes home. And he confronts an intruder, and he's wrestling with this masked man, who, by the way, is 6'2", stocky, and has a Vin Diesel voice. He's being very specific. He hears that his wife comes home, so he says he's subdued by wrist pressure points.
So the guy says that his alarm goes off. He comes rushing home, and the guy's still in the house when the alarm went off, and it's Vin Diesel. And
you said that.
And everything's going pretty good. He's got this guy, but then his damn wife comes home and he gets distracted by her. And while he's distracted by the damn wife, Vin Diesel takes him out with a wrist pressure point.
I'm with you so far.
Who, by the way, is 6'2", stocky, and has a Vin Diesel voice. He's being very specific. He hears that his wife comes home, so he says he's subdued by wrist pressure points. He can't help, tells his wife, Connie, to run into the basement. Run! That's where at 9:20...
Why wouldn't you tell her to leave? Like, if I'm pinned down and there's somebody in my house and my wife comes in,
don't come in.
Go, run and get out of here.
Get
go.
the hell out of here. Leave.
Not go down into the basement.
What I need you to do is go put your body in the basement.
He says she is shot and killed. Now let's go to police, their timeline. They say that surveillance video shows that woman right there at 9:18 in the morning at the YMCA. So she's going to be shot in 2 minutes, but according to police, she's at the YMCA. Here's where the Fitbit comes in. It goes idle, no movement for 9 minutes. Police say that's when she's driving home. And then she gets home, and at 9:40 to 9:46, she posts on Facebook a couple of times.
That's more than 2 minutes. Why'd that guy say 2 minutes? That doesn't...
I don't know.
Then at 10:05, the Fitbit registers its last movement. There's a panic alarm set off at the house, and at 10:20, that's when the husband, Richard Debate, calls 911. So 2 different timelines, and the Fitbit playing big in helping police put together their timeline, which they believe is the truth.
Whoa, they believe it's the truth there, Noah. What do you think of that?
I think that this is why we shouldn't have cloud-connected devices.
Actually, there's nothing that necessarily says cloud if you have that locally stored on a computer.
I suppose.
Yeah, what do you think of that, though? I mean, like, these devices that we carry with us...
I just don't like the idea that something that I purchased to, not that there should ever be a shroud for illegal activity, but I don't like the idea that a device that I purchased for my own convenience could be used against me.
Yeah, do you remember this story recently about the Alexa? Cancel. Cancel. Stop.
The water heater thing?
Water heater thing.
Yeah.
With the it was a murder case. It was a hot tub murder.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then they had things from her and the woman in the tube, and then also they had like tracking of like because he had his water heater was automatically controlled or something.
Oh yes. Yes. And that could be gives you an idea. It's just I guess what I'm trying to get to is like, is it something else you have to consider when you're buying this equipment? Could it be subpoenaed? Of course, I guess if you don't plan on killing people.
Yeah, that's probably not much of a concern. How about if you just want to get into your garage? Is that a thing? Because that happened.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, so should we find a few more clips to wrap us up and then get out of here?
Let's do it.
Okay, now we have a cyber thing we have to get to. So maybe I feel like we should do that. Because if we don't, let me see if there's anything else urgent. There's a lot of hoopla around the Iranian deal right now. There's some sanctions hoopla. I'll play a little bit of that.
The US Treasury has imposed fresh sanctions on Syria. This time, government scientists have been targeted for suspected involvement in the alleged Idlib chemical attack.
OFAC is sanctioning 271 employees of Syria's Scientific Studies and Research Center, the Syrian government agency responsible for developing and producing non-conventional weapons and means to deliver them. The United States is sending a strong message with this action that we will not tolerate the use of chemical weapons by any actor, and we intend to hold the Assad regime accountable for its unacceptable behavior.
That's right.
That's good.
We're just going to stick to that. We're just sticking to it. We're just going to stick to it. All right, here's the judge.
Remember when former President Barack Obama made this promise about the prisoners in the Iranian swap deal?
No. These individuals were not charged with terrorism or any violent offenses. They're civilians, and their release is a one-time gesture to Iran, given the unique opportunity offered by this moment and the larger circumstances at play.
Yeah, we were just arresting civilians like crazy, so we want to let them out.
That's absolutely not true. That turns out what he was just saying, a total lie, and they were a potential threat, these individuals, to national security.
We just asked the people doing the investigating. So how did this previous administration
That's how we roll.
Get away with this? Here to weigh in, who's had a chance to digest the documents last night, Fox News senior judicial analyst Andrew Napolitano. Judge, are we overstating when we say the president was not being forthright in that statement?
We are not overstating it at all. These were not civilians who were arrested for political crimes. These were this is his own Justice Department. The Obama Justice Department characterized these people as serious terrorists who had supplied material equipment to terrorist organizations in the Middle East and who had supplied nuclear components to Iran.
They were buying them from us.
Correct. They were being prosecuted for this. These were serious prosecutions with a tremendous amount of evidence against these people. The next day, they were gone.
Does he not? He didn't. Did that just fly over his head, or do you think he missed it? Or?
Oh no, he caught it. It's just that to him, it's like it's to the judge. It's like it doesn't even matter anymore. All of this. What you'd have to tell me is that Iran is more likely to launch a nuke because of the deal, and that's pretty much the only thing you could say about the deal that would make me go, "That's a bad deal."
Mm-hmm.
Like they have been trying to frame this as a bad deal since before the deal was signed,
right?
And I don't understand it. I don't understand acting aggressively towards Russia. I don't understand acting aggressively towards Iran. Anytime we can de-escalate tensions with another country that has the capability of launching nukes, seems like a good thing. That seems like a good deal to me.
Not to mention,
I don't understand why the right seems to hate the nuke deal so much.
And take away the nuclear aspect of it. Even just from a financial perspective, from a we don't need to be involved in that perspective.
Yeah, right. Speaking of nukes.
The UK could decide to use its nuclear weapons in a first strike if London deems it necessary. That's
what? I'm sorry. What?
The UK could decide to use its nuclear weapons in a first strike if London deems it necessary. That's according to UK Defence Secretary Michael Fallon. RT's Issa Ali has more on Britain's nuclear strategy.
Some quite belligerent comments there from the UK's Defence Secretary Michael Fallon. He said that in the most extreme circumstances, we've made it clear that you can't rule out the use of nuclear weapons as a first strike.
I mean, I feel like they're just talking tough, right?
Yeah. Excuse my ignorance, who are they going to strike?
Well, who? Because it's RT covering this, I'm thinking they must be talking Russia.
Okay.
They've got to be talking Russia with some tough talk.
There is the threat from existing nuclear states like Russia.
There you go.
We know that President Putin is upgrading his nuclear forces. In the last 2 years, there has been a disturbing increase in both Russian rhetoric about the use of nuclear weapons and the frequency of snap nuclear exercises.
Yeah, dude, it's so weird. It's like there's this. It's this weird thing. I don't know. It's like Putin's crazy. Like there's this crazy escalation of like testing and drills, and it's weird because like. A NATO event happens and like we put missiles in on a NATO ally, or we move troops, or we do like a summer-long test, and all of a sudden the Russians do a test and the Russians build a weapon. It's the craziest thing, dude. I can't even fathom how it works. It's so weird. It's so weird. Anyways, better talk tough and have some first strikes, right? Better talk tough. Russia would really like you to know they're saving the day, though.
UN-based rules should be created to battle fake news. That's the suggestion of the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman.
What? Now, wait a minute. I thought fake news was Russia influencing the news to begin with.
Maria Zakharova during a session of the UN Committee on Information.
So this is Russia's big plan is, well, if we're gonna get all huffy about fake news, then we're gonna try to control the narrative about it.
Our delegation proposes the UN define the strategy for battling fake news and disinformation. Russia will be ready to fully support this initiative, which is extremely important for developing a healthy environment for news reporting.
I'm amazed that fake news is even being discussed at the UN. Like, what the hell? Can we get over this now?
Yeah,
already?
Especially that term too, right?
Yeah, it seems so funny that it's gotten that far. And so Russia's whole thing here is, well, we'll just get ahead of it. We'll just get ahead of all of this and we will help with the fight against fake news, which is pretty clever, actually. All right, so there's one thing we have to answer before we can wrap up the overtime. One problem we have to solve.
Okay, world peace?
No, it's bigger than that.
I see.
It's about the kids.
Oh,
it's
the
about
children.
It's about the future of the children.
The children, okay.
And why they like to cyber so much.
Now, we've been covering the South Burlington High School threat for days now, but who could forget the Essex High School lockdown that just happened last week?
I can't forget it.
2 separate cases with one common threat, cybercrime. What causes teens and young adults to go to such great lengths to put a community in fear? Well, I sat down with a forensic and
the entire community, guys, the entire community.
Criminal psychologist to find out. Over the last 8 days, a rash of school threats and lockdowns has hit area districts.
Lockdown!
Including Essex High School and most recently, South Burlington High School.
The people that are perpetrating these particular crimes or issues are looking to disrupt. It's a disruption.
God, that guy looks like he got bullied as a kid.
In both of these cases, police believe high-tech crimes were involved, including things like fake web accounts and hacking.
A lot of information available on the internet, a lot of information available on the websites. For
I'm dying over here.
A lot of knowledge.
High-tech crimes like fake accounts online.
There's a lot of knowledge on the internet, dude.
They made a fake Twitter account. It's a high-tech crime.
We've really got to get our heads around this problem with the children going online and getting knowledge from the internet. We cannot allow this. This self-education, this is going to lead these kids that are hacking us.
Right.
They need to be sent to jail.
That's right.
Not given jobs.
By guys. And it's a good thing they had that body armor for all those high-tech crimes.
I love this old keyboard on this Dell, too.
And hacking.
A lot of information available on the internet, a lot of information available on the websites for our schools. And
that guy couldn't fix his collar before he goes on the air. Like, he's got 2 collars, so he's got a double collar thing going. He's looking like Steve Bannon
Maybe
up there.
He's a little chilly.
And then one of the collars is flapped over the other collar, and then his top layer collar is like in pimp mode, but he doesn't obviously intend for it.
The websites for our schools, and that's good. It shares information and it serves a great purpose. And then there are people who would choose to do us harm or choose to create the kind of disruption that this may have created.
That disruption puts the community on high alert, leaving many to wonder what the hacker's motivation is.
Well, like anything else, hacking is something that you're not supposed to do, and therefore it becomes highly attractive.
Powell also says many of these cyber criminals are young kids, possibly unable to grasp the full extent of what they're doing.
So, in nowhere did they ever say what it was they did?
No, just called it like bomb threats and stuff. Yeah, no bigs. I mean, it's bigs, but it's not really cyber hacking. But you know, you got to watch out for the kids. Noah, thanks for joining me for a
thanks
special
for having
overtime.
me.
You know, check out Linux Action Show this Sunday. Noah's going to be live in studio, and if you haven't listened to Ask Noah yet, got to go check that out. Where should they find that?
AskNoahShow.com or right here on JBLive.tv, Monday 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific.
Boom! See you next week, guys.